I think he's
No,
just in his penthouse looking over Fort Lauderdale.
the Bay. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Kyle, former what was he like? I can't remember what was the gig that he was doing. He became a developer.
He was doing
Uh,
DoorDash.
he
That's
was
when.
doing DoorDash, right? That's
Yep.
right. And
Yep.
he started coding, and then took off. From there, he really liked it. Became a TA at a boot camp that me and Donald attended. And out of that came this idea that a lot of people that didn't stay in the boot camp, the coding boot camp, was because they didn't have a support system to get them through the end line. So that's where we came up with this idea, for this group, and here we are, almost 4 years later, meeting every Monday. And now along the way, we've met some awesome people. Many of them are here tonight. Alex, Ashley, Maria, Danny, Christian, Donald, Peter now is joining us too. Steve, of course, and a few others. I don't see them in the call yet, but a lot of the folks that come back, to these sessions are to, basically to help others, right? For those that are looking for a job in tech, regardless of the vertical that you're picking. I mean, this is a group that is looking forward to give you, their experience, their knowledge, and pass that to you. So nothing, everybody. Welcome to Grammar Hub. My name is Alan. I'm the PM during the day, and we do Grammar Hub during the night and weekends and holidays and everything else. And so with that, and we have two special guests tonight for our presentations. We're gonna do kind of like a regular programming for a few, and then we'll jump into the presentations. And so we'll start with the intros. So if this is your first time on a Monday meeting, just open your mic and your cam if you want to, and just introduce yourself, just a little bit about you, and or I call your names. Christian, you're first.
All right, what can I talk about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Hi. So nothing. Welcome
Who's
to the
this
group,
guy?
and
Thank you.
this is the
Who
other
are
Christian.
you?
Listen,
Nah, I'm
there can only can be one Christian, so we're gonna have to
only be one
Christian
me.
last name. We'll see. We'll figure that out later. All right, Christian, just a little bit about you, where you are, what you do, what's cooking for you, and what you're trying to achieve, I guess, in tech.
Um, so right now I'm living in Miami, and I just started working at a startup.
Is it me or I can't
And
hear him?
my name is Christian. I just started working at a startup.
No, we hear you. I
And
think your volume is not.
you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So right now my goal in tech right now is to help pretty much drive technology forward. But as far as like specific profession, I'm not 100% sure yet.
Okay. So are you working in tech right now?
Yeah, I just started working at a startup a couple of days ago. I was like last week.
Oh, all right, cool. Congratulations. What do you do over there?
So right now I'm doing some of everything.
Okay, hence the startup. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Are you a developer?
I'm helping. They brought me on to help with some development work and some sales work there too.
Got it. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Cool. Welcome. And where are you based?
Here in Miami.
Miami. Cool deal. Welcome, welcome. Many of us are here in South Florida too. Cool. Thank you, Christian. And yes, to the other Christian, we'll work it out. Let's see. Who else is new? Let me just go. Andrew? Andrew's new.
Hey, can you guys hear
What's
me?
up, Andrew? Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I just graduated. Still looking for a full-time job.
Congrats.
I'm just volunteering at a small startup building OTP platform. Yeah, it's unpaid, so I'm trying to get some full-time job. But it's kind of tough, you know.
Hey, man, I can go Kobe Bryant on you, but I mean, you're in the right place. It's also a lot of times it's going to be, what you put into this career.
Mhm.
Certainly, there have been opportunities here for you to, do projects and have other folks here that are already working in tech, like review your resume, your projects, your code, your LinkedIn, and all those things. And we also do mock-up interviews, once a month, right?
Sounds
So
great.
just plug in and, you're in the right path, right? At least you got the internship. A lot of folks are
Yeah.
still trying to get the internship, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So you got that going for you.
Mhm.
Okay, so celebrate your wins.
Thank you.
All right, welcome. All right, let's see. Going down the line here, Daniel. Oh, there's two Daniels. Are those two Daniels me?
Bell over here.
Hey,
Can you hear
Dan,
me?
how are you? Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome, awesome. I'm actually one of the speakers, I think, that's going to be speaking towards the end here. So I'm not in tech myself. I do financial planning, so everything money related, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you guys some education, but on a different subject that will, in many ways, be able to help you guys career wise, whether it be saving for between jobs or saving up for retirement when you do have your career, or budgeting between jobs or as you're aiming for that first job, and kind of how to deal with some of the aspects of finance that come with having a job in really any field, but including the tech industry. And I'm over in South Florida as well, born and raised in Coral Springs.
All right, awesome. Awesome. Yes, I mean, finance are important in this industry, especially as there are bonuses, there are sign up this, sign up that, there are stocks, there are options, there are all kinds of other money benefits that until somebody's telling you, would you like this? And then you're like, I guess I want it, but then you don't know, how to use it or use it for your benefit down the road. So
Oh,
these
all of it.
conversations are are usually, like back office kind of conversations, but it helps, to have somebody who has been working in the industry. So yeah, welcome, Danny, or Daniel Bell. And let's see, there's another Daniel. Is that your first time, Daniel? Daniel, no last name?
No, I've been here before.
That's right. That's what I thought. Cool. Yeah. Well, welcome. All right. Who else is first time on the call? I know Santos been here before.
Me, Edgar.
All right, Edgar. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, my name's Edgar. I'm a high school teacher. Currently teaching a computer science class. It's an intro, and I'm based in Miami as well.
Well, that's pretty cool. Have we met, Edgar?
I don't think so.
No? Where do you teach?
Miami Northern Senior.
Okay. All right, cool. Do you know Willie from the Microsoft program from TEALS?
Yes. Yes. I work with him in a class. Yes. For the program.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Are you part? You're part of the group, right?
Yes. My school partner was Teals. Yes.
Okay. Because I usually go to his events, so that's why I think we might have crossed paths in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you should talk about the TEALS program in a few. We'll do that. And let's see. And Ralph. Ralph is here first time. Was it first time?
I've been here plenty of times. Like this is my third time
Well,
here.
but go ahead and introduce yourself actually, because there's a whole bunch of new people.
All right, cool. So I am Ralph. I am also presenting tonight on QA engineering. I've been in tech for the past 20 years. I've been in QA for the past 15. And I do QA automation. I'm a senior QA engineer for the video streaming sports company Huddle. And I also do like technical coaching as well to help people get into tech, get the resumes right, get the experience that they need so they can land the job that they want.
Cool. We kind of know that mission, so we're super aligned. Welcome, welcome. All right. Couple traditions here at Grammar Hub. Mondays. The first one's super easy. So we're gonna do the second one first because I think that's gonna work out better. If you could please on the chat, if you don't know where the chat is, there is an icon on the top right. Open your chat and drop your LinkedIn URL link. That way, the folks that are here tonight can connect with you and you can connect with them as well. So I'm gonna type up mine. Give me 1 second. Okay, and then let me know if I skip anybody on the introductions. So we can do that too. Let's see. Elvis is here? Yes, Elvis. It's all right. Good. All right. Yeah, okay, let me just check. So I'm just scanning because Mr. Luis Perez, I need to clean up your URL. We'll get a chance. Same for Daniel Bell. We should give you a unique URL instead of the 40 character link you got there. Nice, Alex. All right, Alex, don't text and drive, please. Or talk. All right, cool. Cool. All right. We didn't miss anybody, right? We got everyone? All right, cool. So the second tradition that we have here for running on 4 years right now, we're gonna ask you to please open your cameras so we can take a quick picture. That's my cue. All right, hold on, let me get myself set up over here for the picture. Give me 1 second.
I'm on your other side today.
Yes, you're on that side. Okay. All right. Wait. Don't do. All right, who are we waiting for? I see Louis. I see. We're waiting for Alex, Christian, Danny,
Copy.
Leon.
Trying. Hold
She's-
on.
She's trying. Come on, Rocket. I can't hear you or see you. I don't know what's going on over there. And Rocket is there. It's the Rocket right there. That guy runs. What's your fastest time, Leon? For the mile?
I can't remember. Maybe 4:48.
Dang.
Or-
That's some good
448.
stuff right there.
My car doesn't do 448 a mile.
Here, give me 1 minute. I'll go on my computer.
Waiting on you.
I got
you, Sergeant. Let's go. All right. Christian, are you coming? I think Christian stepped out. All right, we're going on 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, hold on. I messed up. My bad. 1, 2, teeth. There you go. I got it everywhere. Go study. Lucas, we only saw like half of your face, right? I don't know why you duck in there.
We can't hear you, by the way.
And we can't hear you. I don't know. You're like a double whammy today, man. What's going
Blacking.
on?
There we go. All right. I'm not a bot. I swear.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
How you
How's it been?
been?
Happy New Year. Oof,
Happy-
busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Work
Happy
stuff,
New Year.
other related stuff, and life.
Gotcha. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you.
All right, this guy is master developer too, so you need help with your codes right there.
Happy to take a look.
Ping him. He's not busy, so he's got all the time in the world to just look at your code. No worries. All right, thank you, mate.
No problem.
Let's see. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a grammar hub before we do our presentations. It is already 6:51, and Maria, Ashley, just keep me honest. Are we starting at 7 or 7? What time are we starting? Why didn't you say anything? You're like letting me talk here. I thought we were gonna start on that. Okay, let me just do housekeeping for 3 minutes and then a couple things. If you are here tonight and you have stuff to do for your code, your projects, or anything like that, and obviously, being part of presentations might not be best use of your time, you can jump into the breakout room, and then if you need help, someone can jump in there with you to help you out. We're gonna jump to the stage that is called Monday. You don't see it right now, but you should be seeing it now under your streaming channels. So if you get lost, we'll point you over there.
I love the background noise, the background music. It's very I like it. Yeah. I feel like crickets are in the back. Like I'm sitting in a Oh no, it's like Mario Kart. Like I'm throwing a banana to someone. Where is everybody? Oh, should we go back in there? Hi, welcome. Yay. Yay. That sounds like Mario. Like when he jumps up and gets the like coin. Woohoo.
Oh, I can put myself in the channel. That's cool. Let's see. Let's bring our first guest. And I'm looking for him too. Is he still in the lobby? He's not there. You want to ping? Okay. Steve is over there. Let me just put a note over there. Hey, Ralph. Oh, he can't hear me. He's in the lobby. I know. I know what I gotta do. I'm looking for him. Where is message? Says, oh, I sent him the thing. All right, so the chat should be open here. I see him now. Let me. Ralph, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. Welcome.
All right. You guys are ready to go?
We are good to go.
All right. I am going to share a little presentation that I put together. All right. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is going to be about an introduction to QA engineering. Like I said in the introduction in the other room, I've been in tech for 20 years, been doing QA for the past 15, QA engineering, specifically with automation for the past about 12 years. So let's get started. So about me real quick. Like I said, tech in 20 years, for 20 years, 15 years QA, 12 years QA engineering, technical coach and content creator. My YouTube channel is Tech Coach Ralph and my LinkedIn is Ralph Gehi. I do a lot of like different technical stuff, talking about agile methodology, talking about QA automation with different tools, Terraform infrastructure as code. So I just dive into all of that type of stuff. But my always home for me is QA. So we're going to talk about today. All right. So let's get into it. All right. So I want to start off with a brief history on like what is quality assurance, the roles in QA, who are QA engineers, and would QA engineer be the right fit for you? Because a lot of times you hear about software engineering, software development, front end development, but I think that a missing part of it is the testing and the quality part of it. Because if your software doesn't work and your customers are unhappy, then all of that goes out the window. So that is one of my big emphases and focuses on getting good quality software out there. Okay. So what is QA, right? It's the maintenance of a desired level of quality in a service or product, especially by means of attention to every stage of the process of delivery or production. And a brief thing about that, right? So I'm not sure how many are familiar because nowadays it's pretty much all agile, but back in the days, there was the waterfall methodology and the V model. So all the development would be done and then it would be sent over to QA. And then we would start testing and find a bunch of issues and send it back to developers and they would fix it. And we find more issues and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then it's like a year later and maybe the software is ready to be released, right? With Agile, it allows QA to be involved from the very beginning of the process. So good QA it's from the very beginning, we're asking questions about the risks, about how we're going to be testing it, about the environment and all these type of things, right? So QA is now like a core part of the process, which back in the days, it wasn't really. It was just like a pretty much tedious task. Now we're all involved and we work very closely with the software engineers and the product managers and the project managers and the scrum masters and anyone else, right? So that is like what QA is today at its core, being involved at the very beginning. It's a term called like shift left to get closer to the beginning of the process. So, and that's what I'm always focusing on. I'm always driving to the people that I'm helping and coaching and like, how can you add more value to the team that you're working on? How you can be more involved. Don't just sit around and wait, but be active, be proactive. All right. So I put this together just to scare people to show like, there's so many different types of QAs and terms for QA, but then on the next one, I'll get a little bit more practical, right? So there's unit tests, which if you're a developer, you should be very familiar with. There is integration tests, end-to-end tests, manual testing, automation testing. Apparently there's AI testing now, right? I didn't even know about that. There's functional testing, which kind of encompasses a lot of this stuff. Visual testing, performance testing, regression testing, compatibility, accessibility, smoke, sanity, white box, black box, and then different AUTs, right? So many stuff, right? But although it's like there's 15 things on this list, right? When you actually approach it, you don't and stuff like that. That it flows a lot smoothly. Like I would say for me, what I normally do on a day-to-day basis, it's a little bit of manual testing, but I'm always looking to see, okay, what can I automate? And then the regression testing, right? They're also part of the automation suite and visually, like what you see and stuff like that. So the functional, the automation, the manual, the regression, the end-to-end, they're all kind of tied in together. And then like the developers do a lot of the unit testing and stuff like that. So everything is kind of tied in together. Different companies work in different ways, but the way that I've been working at the past few companies is they all kind of blend together, and it's how we're able to develop faster and go to market faster and resolve bugs faster as well. So I put this like this just so you can see like all the different aspects of it, and a lot of them they actually blend together. So I wanted to share that with everyone as well. All right, so QA in real life, right? So like I was just mentioning, the maintenance of a desired level of quality in a service, especially by means of attention to every stage. So similar to what we read before, right? But it's actually like being involved, like continuous testing. So the same way you hear about like continuous deployment, continuous integration, there's a term continuous testing where you're always testing. You're always like, let's say the developers finish a story or development on a branch. You pull up that branch, you test it, and everything is working. Then automate it as well. Then you merge that, and then you test it in that merge environment before you deploy to production. You test in production if possible, and sometimes you can't test in production, but there's some sanity checks you can do in production, and then it's live, right? Bugs come up, you either create a defect for it, or you might have to roll it back depending on the severity of it. Some bugs can live in production; it just depends, right? But this is pretty much how the process goes in real life. There's like a lot of courses and stuff like that. It make it seem like a very long drawn out process, but it's always flowing. Everything is always moving. Nothing's ever stopping. Like as everyone in here knows in tech, everything is always moving. So it's the same thing in QA. Always working, always driving forward, always trying to add value to the customers and to the company. Right. So different roles in QA, right? So you can be a QA tester, a QA specialist. Those are pretty much the same thing at this point. And there's QA engineer, there's software developer and test, which I forgot his name, but he was here the other day and he's a SDET. Then there's like QA management where you can be like a QA manager, senior manager, director, and there's like VPs of QA. It goes up from there, right? So those are some different roles, and for example, QA engineer, you can have a QA engineer 1, a QA engineer 2, QA engineer 3. And then there's like senior QA engineer. There's principal. There's staff QA engineer, and those are more on and you can have lead, but those are more on like the individual contributors, and then the management. Like I was mentioning, you can have the QA manager, senior manager, director, and whatever other titles they can come up with for management, right? So those are like some of the core roles that you'll find in QA. Of course, companies can create their own roles and things like that, but these are the core things that are going to be doing like different types of QA work. All right. All right. So what do we do? QA engineers have a unique role as they are heavily involved in the software development lifecycle, like I was mentioning, as well as building out testing infrastructure to reduce the burden of manual QA. So I don't like, so this is me personally, right? I hate, and I mean, I absolutely hate doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? I'll do it like once or twice, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be a way to automate this, and then that's what I'm looking to do, right? So I'm like, all right, I start researching, and it's okay. What can I do? And this is for anything, right? But if we're specifying it's a software development, what libraries are there that we can automate? Either it's API testing, maybe it's web testing, maybe with like Selenium, a Cypress, a Playwright, or let's say we're doing APIs. Maybe we're doing, if we're using Java, we're using Rest Assured. If we're using Python, we're doing the request library, whatever they have for C#. I'm not too familiar with C#, but all like these languages, they all have something that you're going to plug into. And I'm always looking to see, okay, how can I simplify, like, so I can automate this? Because when you automate it, then there's no, like, it reduces the chance of human error, right? It's the same thing that's happening over and over and over and over again. And that's what like QA engineers, and the more experienced that you are, the better that you're going to get at finding these solutions of how can I build this out? And the infrastructure part is like I've in the past, like I've set up environments where to run the automated test. So like there's tools like Jenkins, there's TeamCity, there's Circle CI, and there's like you can even do it through GitHub. And it's like we set up the platform, the infrastructure, sometimes for reporting as well, where you can get like data and analytics. You can get you can see like what failed, what passed, sending out emails, like so many different tools, right? So this is a general overview, because like it would be, if I had to go into like every detail, we'd be here forever, and I know we don't have that type of time. But so I'm just breaking it down, like some of the things that we do as QA engineers, depending on the level. So like if you're entry level QA engineer, you might just be starting off with doing some automation for like on a website or something like that. But then as you move up, you might be like building some type of application where it's checking the testing coverage, right? So that's one of the projects that I've been working on with one of my coworkers is how do we measure the testing coverage of our REST APIs and of our GraphQL and another internal API that we have, right? So it just depends, but it's all about building out the infrastructure to reduce having to do manual testing, because it's impossible to do that much manual testing. One of my favorite like people in the tech space, Robert C. Martin, I remember he had a presentation and he said a company was doing mainly manual testing, but they had to cut down on like their workforce, like their testers. So they came with a stack of like this thick of test cases, and they said, all right, what part of this should we test? Right? And the answer was, well, the part that you want to work. And that's why it's important to like have unit tests, have good unit tests, have automated tests that you can run something on the cycle, because it's just impossible. It would take you way too long to be testing stuff at every deployment manually. So that's one of the main focuses on QA engineers, is simplifying the process of testing. All right, so the question is QA engineering for you? Which we're going to get into a little bit more, but these are the questions that I would want you to ask. Are you a critical thinker? Are you resourceful? Are you innovative and solutions oriented? Are you able to pick up on new coding languages and concepts quickly, right? Because when I first got into automation, we were using this tool that was super expensive. And then we moved over to Selenium using Java, had to learn Java. And then from there, picking up on different languages. So last year I learned Python. And then the other day we were in this training for contract testing, and it was in C#. I never really used C#, but I was able to pick up on the concepts of the coding. And then sometimes like on the live streams that I was doing recently, where I was implementing Selenium, Playwright, and Cyprus on a website that somebody created for mental health thing. I said, like, I'm just going to do it in JavaScript and TypeScript. So I started automating that, and I was able to pick up on that. So picking up on new concepts, like being able to explore, being able to see the risk, to be a critical thinker. Like, I think those are the main requirements if you want to get into QA and to QA engineering, because you have to be to be able to think outside the box. It's not a linear happy path. It's like, okay, I test a happy path, but what are all the things that could go wrong, right? And then you have to think about that, and you have to go after it and see, okay, does it actually go wrong? Was it accounted for? Things like that. So just making this this is a very simple list, but I think those are the most important things that you would be considering if you wanted to get into QA, right? It's a lot of work, but it's, for me at least, it's a lot of fun but I'm kind of crazy like that too. So who knows? All right. Okay. So let's talk about QA engineering overview for a little bit, and then we can wrap up my part, answer any questions, and then I will toss the baton over to my neighbor over there, Daniel. All right. So what is a QA engineer? Provide solutions to simplify software testing. That is the very easy explanation. Simplify software testing. That's my goal. So we ensure that software goes to market with minimal risk. There might be some risk in there, but we don't want it to be oh, as soon as you deploy, the whole system comes down, or you can't even get to the home page, which I have seen happen before. You click on login, you get a blank page, So we have to we make sure that it's thoroughly tested. We keep the company safe, we make the customers happy, and then we push the evolution and innovation of QA practices. And that's my favorite part, right? I've been messing around with Terraform. I've been running scripts on AWS the past few weeks at work. Wrote a script in Python using the Bodo 3 AWS library, where it's kind of scanning the S3 and then creating jobs on there. So I'm not sure if anybody here is familiar with AWS stuff, but different things like that we figure out. For me, QA engineer, we figure things out to make it easier on ourselves and on our team. While the developers are building applications to put out to our customer, I'm focused on the internal of okay, what tools can we build so that we can make our job go smoothly from a QA perspective and from an engineer perspective. I like to keep my engineers happy. So just throwing that out there, keep your engineers happy, and then they'll help you out. Right? I've always had amazing relationships with my engineers because I always go the extra mile to make sure that they're comfortable, they're in a good spot. All right. So responsibilities for QA engineer, role of a QA engineer in the software development lifecycle: testing the software, reporting defects, collaborating with the software engineers, and everybody else involved. So you might be collaborating with some of the DevOps people. You might be collaborating with QA engineers from other teams, with the product. I've always had a really close relationship with the product owner, because a lot of times what happens for a QA engineer is that the product owner has a tough time translating the requirements to the developers, but because QA sits right there in between, right, the business and the tech, we're able to translate it a little bit easier, so to make sure everybody understands, and also able to contribute to feedback to the product owners and say, hey, from a user perspective, we might want to consider this, and we go from there. So a lot of collaboration, a lot of networking involved. So it's really good to have a good relationship with everyone that you work with. And then, as I mentioned earlier, simplify the testing approach. Automate, always looking for opportunities for automation. And like I just mentioned, provide perspective into the software. Always have what I always tell people, the number one thing that I'm thinking about is the customer experience, right? I want my customers to have the best experience, because if they don't, then that's not good for the company, and that's not good for my job, which I care about my job first, which it means I have to care about the customer's satisfaction first as well. All right. Okay. So QA engineer attributes, kind of got into this a little bit, but attention to detail, very, very important. Critical thinking, a problem solver, a fast learner, because you have to you might be working, usually it's like this, right? There's one of you to 3 or 4 developers, right? I have 3 developers and it's just me. And I have to be able to switch contexts, understand different tools that we're using, different software that we're building. And okay, so this is ready, got to test that, write the test plan for that, automate it, and, just going in that circle. Be an expert communicator, be able to go from talking very technical to talking not so technical, understand what the product owners are doing, what the scrum masters are doing, understand your velocity, understand your deadlines, right? So many different things, right? Which leads you to being a great listener. The best communicators are the greatest listeners. So a lot of times I'll listen, and then once I have understanding or I need understanding, then I'll talk and try to make it as clear and concise as possible, right? And then of course you need patience because you're going to be testing sometimes the same thing over and over again because they say they did it, you check it, it doesn't work, you send it back, and then they send it back to you, it still doesn't work, and it's so that's part of the process. And then of course assertiveness, you need to be able to you can't just accept everything that they tell you, right? You need to say, okay, this doesn't look right, this doesn't seem right, and you have to raise the red flag, say this is a risk, this is not good, and that's why you need to be assertive. You can't be very passive. So although you are patient, you're patient, you can't be passive as well. So all these things to me, they work together to make you an amazing QA engineer, and those are the attributes you should be striving for as a QA engineer, and to be honest, as anything that you're doing in tech, whether you are a software developer, a front-end developer, a project manager, scrum master, whatever it is that you do, right? You like these qualities, they go way beyond QA, but those are the ones that I focus on to help me do my job better and work with my team, my developers better. All right. So it's some education and training of where you can get QA. So college degrees, right? What I'm going to say about college degrees is that pretty much all QA jobs that you look for, they're going to say a bachelor's in computer science. However, they don't teach you anything about QA and testing in college, like maybe a little bit of unit tests in computer science. So I would say also in addition to your college degree, because if you can get it, that's one of the best things you can do, like get a computer science degree, but you're also going to need some additional help. Like you might need to do some Udemy online course for QA if that's what you're interested in. There's some certificates. You don't really need certificates for QAs. There's people are really hung up on ISTQB, but you don't really need it. The ones that need it would be if you're working for a government contracting, they like those type of certificates, but for the most part, you don't need it. There's boot camps for QA. You can check those out. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. And then as you progress, there's going to be internships. Like at my job, we do internships for a lot of different roles, but we do internships for QA. We look for graduating computer science majors to hire to start off as well. And then you can also volunteer. One thing that I recommend people to do is look for startups because a lot of startups, they do not have QA, right? And that's to their detriment, right? They don't have QA, that's to their detriment. And I'm trying to work with them to offer to see, okay, would you like some QA? I can pass some of the QA people that I'm coaching so that they can at least protect your site from your startup from crashing and burning. So trying to offer them that and as well get my QA people some experience as well. So there's volunteering, there's internships, and there's all those other college degrees, online courses, certificates, and boot camps. All right. So those are the different options that you have for getting that education. And job outlook, current job market for QAs. It's so right now, right? If you're entry level, it's really hard to get in right now. If you're more senior, it's better, but it's still not the easiest right now because with the influx of boot camps, they are passing everyone into into it, and it's so now there's more people, especially at the entry level roles, than there are jobs available. So it's give and take. Salary ranges, it depends on entry level to experience. It can go from entry level can go maybe from 60-ish K depending on where you're located, and it can go all the way up to 200K where we're located, even higher sometimes in California at those bigger companies. So consider quality engineering, think about it, ask me any question that you might have, and let me see, and that is it. Success as a QA engineer, level up, skills to stand out on the market, definitely. And that's one of the things that I love about Grammar Hub here. Always having people stand up, level up, get new skills, explore new softwares and technologies. I'm really big on that. Network with other QA engineers and IT professionals like we do here. Build a QA portfolio. If you don't know what that means, hit me up and I'll help explain how I would build a QA portfolio. I have videos about that as well. And conclusion, we talk about responsibilities, skills, education, job outlook, being successful, and the question for you, is it for you? And we can answer some questions. I think there's some stuff in the chat. I can pull those up and answer any questions. And if anyone wants to come off mute and ask me a question, feel free to do so. All right. Let me see. Where are we?
Yeah, so there's a few.
Okay.
Some longer than others, but the let's see. Let's start with some easy ones that you know of. Are there any recommendations for free boot camps? I don't know if you're familiar with any of those.
Not necessarily free boot camps. What I always recommend though is I would recommend some courses on Udemy, like for automation and for like a general QA, to learn like the basics. And I always say like wait until they're on sale. They're on sale like every other week, right? So you can get them for like 10, 15, 20 bucks. Invest in yourself, get one of those, and learn from there. And then I also suggest like getting a mentor who is going to be a lot cheaper than a boot camp because and you know they'll answer your questions. You can like figure something out with them, schedule some time where you have questions, then they answer it for you. Getting a mentor, getting a coach, and that way you are going on the journey, but you're not like totally alone. So that's what. And I can always drop some links in one of the channels, whichever one you say to drop them of like some of the courses that I took, which helped me get a lot better in my QA journey.
Awesome. Yeah. So under the week one, we have a few channels there for education. Under week one, probably this will fall under other, or there's something there. There's front end, back end, and things like that. Whatever you want to drop in, it'll be fine.
All right. Perfect.
Hey, if you see Rolf, posting, you gotta read it. Basically, that's all. That's how it goes. Just a quick thing. Thank you for doing this. It is because of people like you, that bring your time and your experience. Like you said, you've been doing this for many years now. I have a good 10 questions on my own, so it wouldn't be fair for everyone. So we're gonna continue with theirs, and I'm sure I'll keep dropping questions, while we're together on this or the other channel.
Awesome.
I have questions a lot about your background, how you went around doing that, but I'm not gonna jump. Peter asked, does a bachelor's in information technology, i.e. web development, be okay to start? And this was going to be a common question because a lot of people are going to be like, is it too late for me to start a career in QA?
It's not too late. And if you have a background, so it depends on your background, right? I mean, nothing's ever too late, right? To be honest, but sometimes it's a lot harder than other things, right? But if you have a background in web development, then that's a great background to have because a lot of like most of the things that are happening right now are web based, API based, right? So you would pretty much have to like turn your mindset a little bit of like building stuff to work to finding out what doesn't work, but knowing the HTML background, the CSS background, the JavaScript background, those are the things that are like going to be essential to you troubleshooting, finding out what's not working and stuff. And I could like part of what you're saying on like part of my background was before I went into QA, I was a web developer, right? And that helped me so much being able to write good CSS, being able to understand HTML, being able to troubleshoot JavaScript. To when I was working, I was I was looking at in the console to see what errors popping up and things like that, so I can be able to funnel more information to the developers so that they can have an easier time being able to fix things. So always, so I would say if you have that background in like web design, things like that, then that puts you as a good candidate because you're still in tech, right? So it's perfectly fine.
Perfect. So that was, I think it's Peter, and it's also Dural's question. It's a little bit more for both, so it's kind of like a good thing. Let us know in the chat, if you still need some more clarification in there. I'm gonna jump into Andrew. Andrew had a question. He watched one of your videos on the QA portfolio. You were talking about writing test cases for well-known websites. As a full stack dev, he's building his own website. His concern is that the website that he's built don't have that much interaction, from users. Might have a whole bunch of bugs. So how can he showcase testing the skills for his own website and projects? How would you go about that?
So building your own website and you want to test it. So I'll say
It's a little rough. It's a little rough.
We have a rule in QA or in like software development that people who write the code don't acceptance test because it's like you're kind of biased to the code, right? But
True.
I would say like for your example, you
Well,
you
maybe it was
have
a better
to.
way. Maybe it was a better way to do it. Don't do yours, like you said. I mean, if that's a rule at work, people should listen to that.
Yeah,
You
I
should.
mean, what like I would so what I would do this, right? I would cross team. So I would say, all right, let me get someone to test my site and let me test your site. So find somebody else who's doing something similar, and then like yeah, test theirs and have them test yours, and find like and tell them like find everything that's broken, right?
Mm.
And but I would say though, like in your I would focus though like on you building your full stack website. You have to I would focus more on doing like unit tests and stuff like that, because that is super super important that a lot of people neglect to do. And then because most of the issues that happens is going to come, you're going to catch at the unit test level. So you really want to focus on getting those unit tests written, and that's going to be put you in a lot better position as a full stack developer to know how to write really good unit tests, even explore doing it in test driven development.
Okay, I like that. Ashley, Maria, do we have time for one more question? One more. Alex asks, is there a way for QA folks to get practice in the open source community?
There is, I mean, people they like people contributing to open source. It's just finding it, depending on what needs to be done. So some people they'll scour through GitHub to see what they can contribute. Some people write documentation. Some people open pull requests.
Right.
Some people might just start writing automated tests for something and submit it to a GitHub. It just depends. It's like honestly, what I've seen is the big gap between graduating like a boot camp and getting employed, which I met with a recruiter today to talk about this stuff, is that there's like 30 steps in between, right? And like graduating and getting employed. So you have to go out there and find a way to build experience, whether you are going to like do some freelance stuff through Upwork, whether you're going to try to find some startups to contribute to, whether you're going to go on like look for some open source GitHubs or someone who's like just contributing, and so that way you can have something to put on your resume. One thing that I always recommend people as well is if the company that like if most companies are working in an agile methodology on your road to getting hired, you need to work on an agile methodology. Have sprints. So you have sprints, you have your own daily stand-ups, right? Use Slack and talk to yourself in Slack. Like have a stand-up bot where you're posting your daily plans for the day. Create stories, put them on your move them across, right? You need to show that you're like, for me at least, right? If I'm hiring somebody, I don't want someone who's like totally green and I have to like spend so much time like to teach them the basics. Like I want to teach you about the company, not about like how to do QA, So you need to put, and this goes for any job, but you need to go and like put yourself in the position where like you're ready to start adding value from the jump.
Great words. Great words. Appreciate that. What I did on the chat, I just mark all the questions with this emoji, so that way you can always go there if there's more that I missed too, and you can just answer it directly to the folks on the chat.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think from all of us, thank you for doing this. We'd love to have you back, and on the topic or anything you want to talk about, don't just come on in. It'd be great to have you. And also, you're local to us, so it will be great to have you join us soon.
Yeah,
One of
definitely.
You should join us for one of the hackathons. We bring teams, so it wouldn't be fair to everybody else. But then again, we got there to win.
Yeah, I have to look into that. I'll look into that.
All right, check it out. All right, well, thank you, Ralph, and looking forward to see you again.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you. All right, Ashley and Maria, come on in. All right. Okay. Ralph, good to go with not Ralph. I'm sorry. Where's Danny? Right there, I saw him. All right, Daniel. Perfect. We see you, and
Hello. Can you hear me?
we hear you.
Okay, awesome. Just making sure. But
All right, so
okay.
you're good to go. Are you gonna share some slides, or are you gonna just talk?
Yes, I am. Let me
All right,
pull them
great.
up
So,
here.
while you getting that set up, Maria and Ashley are your hosts. So, if there's any questions, also they're gonna follow up here. And I'll go on mute in a second, so I can take notes.
Let's see. Can everybody see my screen?
Just put it on full screen so you can.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Yep, perfect.
Oh. Man, a little trickier than I had imagined. Second. It's not letting me full screen and then come back to you guys over here.
Oh, that happened. We see the presentation now, so that's good to go.
Okay. I guess we can just go like this. I will see you guys as soon as I get through it then. But okay.
Yep, ready when
Do
you are.
that. Okay, perfect. Everybody can hear me and see the screen? Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I can take that. Awesome. Well, hey everyone again. My name's Daniel, as I mentioned before, and thanks Maria for inviting me on here and telling me a little bit about what you guys do. Awesome hearing you speak, Ralph. I thought you did a great job, and definitely educational for me, not being from the tech space. So it's really cool to be able to hear a little bit about what you guys do, what you guys are all about, and learn a little bit myself. Learning about all this different tech stuff. I do a little bit with the fintech when it comes to the financial world, but definitely a different space when it comes to the more in-depth world of software. So a little bit about me and my background professionally. I do financial planning. I help everyone all across the U.S. With everything to personal and business finance. So things like investing, retirement, college funds, emergency fund planning, budgeting, 401k plans for companies, you name it. And been doing that for 4 years in July. It's been an awesome opportunity. Been able to meet a lot of cool people, and I've worked with engineers and software people before, which has been really cool. I also host the Witty Wealth Workshop, and this is kind of like a tailored version of that workshop that I wanted to put on for you guys. Maria actually commented on one of the reels that I put out from one of the workshops that I hosted out. It's a monthly workshop, and she comment on that and wanted to have me come share a little bit with you guys, hopefully share some information that'll be valuable to each and every one of you that maybe you can use for your own financial situation, share with someone else that you care about, and hopefully get you to the next position, financially speaking. So if you guys get anything helpful from me or from this presentation, make sure to thank Maria because I wouldn't be here without her mentioning it to me. Anyhow, I got into this industry originally to really help people accomplish their biggest goals and dreams. Because I think so often we have all these big goals and dreams, but at some point we buy into really the lie that there's no way that we can actually pursue them, whether it be a career in the tech space or maybe a certain lifestyle or something like that, where the cost of living really bogs us down. And the reality is that as you learn how to work money and as you're able to pick up some of the different things that I'll be putting down for you guys here, you can make those dreams possible. And that's the biggest thing. You know, if you learn how to have money work for you and how to work it in the right ways, you can get to where you want to be career wise, financially wise, and whatever that dream looks like for you. So I'm going to jump into things here, and I'm going to be covering two main topics. I believe Maria mentioned it in one of the general chats. But I'm going to be going over, first off, debt, specifically how to pay it off the most efficient ways possible, as well as I'm going to be talking about investing, right? Investing and what to look for when you're approaching that world. Because I know a lot of you guys are just getting started in a career, have been in a career for a little bit, and want to get to that next level financially and figuring out how you can take those next steps, finding out where your footing should be. So I'm going to jump into things here. Debt and investing. First things first. So we're going to get this topic out of the way because at the end of the day, who really likes talking about debt anyways? So let's knock this out. So when it comes down to debt, there are two primary methods of trimming it down and getting it out of the way. They're called the snowball method and the avalanche method. Now, the snowball method is probably the most well-known. You organize your debts from the smallest to the greatest in amount. Then you start paying off the smaller ones, and the idea is that you continue to snowball those efforts towards paying off the smaller debts until you get to the larger debts so that you have more cash to deal with those larger debts. Not a bad method at all. Also, you'll notice that as I go through these different financial topics and really in finance in general, when it comes down to the foundational topics like debt and budgeting, actually, it's all about the choices that you make every day. It's all about the habits and the mindset that you develop when it comes to these types of topics. So this particular method, it really speaks really to the people that are looking to have some of those quicker successes earlier on by knocking out some of those smaller debts. Here, I believe I have a specific slide for this one. And that way it can kind of encourage you to start working towards getting past those larger debts because they can be pretty daunting. And as the saying goes, the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? So, however, the second option is no less helpful. And in fact, whenever I personally talk with people about debt one-on-one, I always suggest the avalanche method first. Here's why. When you organize your debts, you're going to organize them from the largest APR, which is the interest that's being charged on that debt, to the smallest APR, the interest. And you'll notice that as I go through these different methods, it's always going to start with organizing, right? When you get organized, that's always going to be the first step to figuring out how you're going to approach your finances. So if you guys are looking for that first step and you're thinking, okay, what can I do next? What can I do to put myself in a better position as I'm looking into a new career? I've already been in a career for a while and trying to figure out how I can start approaching the future. First thing is you're going to want to get organized. You're going to want to figure out, okay, where do I have all my finances right now? What's going on with my debt, my income, my investments, my savings, and everything that I have going on in my portfolio, right? So when you approach the avalanche method, the way it works is that you're going to focus on paying off the highest interest debts that you have, and then you're going to go downhill from there. So let's say that's going to usually put forward like credit cards, personal loans, car loans, things of that nature. That's going to put those at the forefront of your focus when paying off those debts. And the reason why is because those you're talking 10% interest, 15% interest, 20% interest, especially for the credit cards. And that money is being compounded against you if you don't pay those off. So whether you have a large amount in them or a small amount in them, you are going to want to pay those off soon because of the amount of interest in them. Let's see here. So, for example, let's say you have a credit card with $5,000 and you have a mortgage with $300,000, right? You're looking at the different interest rates and you're trying to figure out what method you're going to take from there. The credit card has an interest rate of about 20%, and the mortgage has an interest rate, let's say about 5%. That's if you're doing pretty good in this market. I don't know who here's been following the real estate market lately, but it's pretty crazy right now. With the avalanche method, you're going to focus on the credit card first, since it'll be growing at a significantly faster rate than the mortgage if left unchecked, right? So you have to think long term. You're thinking, okay, which debt is going to be the most dangerous if I don't deal with it as soon as possible, right? So that's why you're going to want to be thinking about that credit card method, that credit card earlier than later. So that's usually why I go into a little bit more depth with the avalanche method when I talk with clients one-on-one. That's why you should too when you're looking at your situation and trying to figure out, okay, let me consider this method first and see what also fits, your personality and your habits that you have with your finances. Because when it comes down to the snowball method, you may have some of those higher interests compounding against you for a little bit longer, which may not be the best way for you for paying that off. Now, I know a lot of you guys may have been getting out of school recently. I believe I heard one of you guys just graduated not too long ago, so this is definitely something that you're going to want to look into. And this leads us into our next conversation about debt, and that's going to be high interest versus low interest. This may be surprising, but not all debt is necessarily bad. Some debt can actually be used to your advantage. So instead of thinking only in terms of being debt free, I want you all to think and kind of take a step further and think, how can I use this debt that's available to me for my own benefit, right? This brings us to the conversation of, high interest debt versus low interest, high interest rates versus low interest rates. Now with high interest rates, like what usually come with personal loans, credit cards, sometimes car loans, things of that sort, usually they're about 6% or more, give or take. That depends on the type of debt, the market, and all that. But those are going to be more consumer debt. They're going to hit you a lot harder if they stick around. I believe I have a slide for that as well. There we go. Right, and then the things that are going to be a little bit more on the good side of debt to a certain extent, everything in moderation, right? But things like student loans, mortgage, business loans, etc. You may be thinking, okay, well, why is that? Why are these particular ones considered good debt per se? The reason why is because they are going to build something good for you, right? They're going to have lower interest. Usually you're talking around maybe 5% or less. That depends, of course. Sometimes I know the business loans can be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to have to deal with a little less interest, and you're going to have maybe a higher income because you learned some things in college or some of the classes or something that you took. You have maybe some real estate that's building equity for you, or that's building cash flow. You have a business that's going to start returning you income, and that's why you want to focus on those types of debts that can benefit you in some way, and try to avoid the bad debt that's really going to hit you hard. Now, as I'm going through this side of debt here, there's a lot of you can kind of take away from that. Figuring out what method you want to use. Figuring out, okay, what kind of debts do I have? Do I have the good debt or do I have the bad debt? But more importantly than all these different little parts to it is that you can't ignore it, and you have to make a plan and take action on it, right? And to start getting things under control. That way you can start moving forward, and whatever action you take, you want to take some action towards it and start moving forward financially on that end. Right. And then as you start to get those things under control, especially the higher interest debt, you get that under control, then we can start looking at investing. And that's how we're going to kind of transition here onto the investing side of things. Let's see here. We'll go through here. Okay. Investments. So let me ask you guys this. Type in the chat what you guys think are some of the primary characteristics that you want to check for when it comes down to investments. Here, I can pause my screen here for a second. What do you think are the primary things you want to check for? Comes for investments. Curious what's going to pop out. Good ROI, fees, 100%. Level of risk, awesome, awesome. Growth in the company you're investing, term or short term, 100%. Absolutely. And let me switch back over to my screen here. So all those things are good thoughts. All those things are correct, right? So really, when you're looking at these investments and you're trying to figure out, okay, what makes the most sense for me right now? What fits my situation? What fits the goals that I'm looking for? And we're going to kind of kick this off with one of those characteristics, and that's going to be rate of return, right? I know someone mentioned that. And the two other ones that we're going to mention is going to be taxes and protections, right? Protection is going to have to deal with a little bit of the risk, which I know someone mentioned as well. So let's talk a little bit about rate of return. Rate of return is probably the most interesting attribute, right? I think a lot of us love to see, okay, what kind of return are we getting here? Are we getting some big returns like we saw a little bit with GameStop a couple of years ago, and seeing kind of all the meme stocks that were happening before. But so you want to look and see how can you make your dollars work hard for you, because naturally you work so hard for your money. You try to get a good career. You try to go to school to find that opportunity that can fund the different things that you want to do in life. You want to get a good return on investment. That's what ROI stands for, return on investment. So the rate that works is, let's say, for example, you have an investment that grows 8% compounded annually. That means just that investment's going to compound annually. You're going to get that return annually. And, each year you're going to get 8% of that balance added to your account. That's how the interest works. If it's annually, you get it annually. If it's monthly, you get it monthly. It just depends on what you're putting money into. One helpful concept that you can use when you're looking at the different rates that you want to see, okay, how is this going to help me? What is this going to produce for me practically? And that's going to be the rule of 72, right? The rule of 72 is basically to figure out how quickly a rate of return is going to double your money. So you want to think, okay, is this going to take me 50 years to make my money double, or maybe things like 160 years if you're just using a savings account? So FYI, savings account's not where you want to be investing, unless you have like a high yield savings account or something like that. But let's say you have Rule 72. Let's say you have a Roth IRA, for example. I think most people are familiar with those, and if you're not, you should learn a little bit about them. But generally speaking, you'll make around 7 to 8%, give or take, average. Depending on what you're invested in, depends on a lot of variables. But return on that Roth IRA, and the Rule of 72 helps you determine how long it'll take that rate to double. The way it works is that you take 72, you're going to divide it by the return on investment, the rate of return. So you have 7 or 8. So you're going to take 72 divided by 7, which is going to be, let's see, my quick math is a little bit slow today, but it's going to be about 10 years. And then if you take 8, you have 72 divided by 8 is going to be around 9 years. So in this particular case, let's say you had that particular investment, it's doing about 8 to 9%. You are going to have your money doubling every 9 to 10 years. So you want to take that into account when you're looking at the different options that you have, right? So that is one characteristic that you want to look at. Now, two others that is going to be super important: taxes. Whether or not you have to talk about them, I know none of us is excited to give more money to the government, so it is an important topic. We want to be able to have the money stick with us, go towards where we want it to go to, and do the things that we want it to do, right? So when we are looking at taxes, here, let me get to the right one. All right. So we're looking at 3 different ways: taxable. You get taxed on your income, and then you get taxed on the return. So you put money in, it's taxed on your income, and then you earn money from said investment, you get taxed on the gains. You have pre-tax and post-tax. Everyone being here, if you're working for a company or something like that, if it's a for-profit company, a lot of times you are going to get what's called a 401k, right? 401k, generally speaking, is going to be pre-tax. There's some other options with it, but generally speaking, you're going to have pre-tax. The money you put in, not taxed. Money you pull out, it's going to be taxed. Income, the money, the principal, the amount that you put in, and what grew, the gains, the interest that accrued. And you're going to have other options like the Roth IRA we mentioned before, post-tax, right? You put the money in, you already pay the taxes on your income, pull the money out, it's all tax-free. Now, think about this with me for a little bit. When it comes down to taxes, we all know about government spending, national debt, so on and so forth. A lot of obligations on, the government. The government makes a lot of their money from taxes. So, more than likely, if we're looking, economically and we're looking forward towards the future, there's a good chance taxes are going to increase. So, when we're looking at investments and we're looking at the different options that we have out there, a lot of the times it's going to benefit you to look towards the post-tax option, right? Post-tax option, you take advantage of some of the slightly lower rates that we're dealing with right now, and down the road, you don't have to deal with any of the tax hikes, right? Because when you pull money out, it's going to be tax-free. So that's going to be a little bit of nugget for you guys. When you guys are looking at different investments, think about how is this going to affect me tax-wise, right? Because that's going to be super important. We want to be thinking long-term. How is this going to affect me when I actually need to use the money? Third, and this is the last thing I want to cover with you guys because I just got my 5-minute warning a couple minutes ago. So, third, let's jump into it here. Market protection, right? I know we have a couple of younger gentlemen and ladies on here on the call, and this is something super important because sometimes we forget that building up retirement, building up our financial future takes time, right? And the reality is, although we were young, time is not on our side. Time is limited for everyone, and you want to be careful with how you use it, especially when it comes down to the investments. So the way you do that when it comes down to the investment front is you have to realize the significance of losses. You have to protect your money. Warren Buffett said that the number one rule to investing is don't lose money. And then number two rule is don't forget rule number one. All right. You want to make sure that you understand how that plays into what you are putting your money in. So the reason why for that rule is in the math. Think about it. If you have 100K and you put something in, you put it in somewhere and something happens where you lose 30%, how much will you have? I think that's a pretty straightforward question. 100K, lose 30%, you'd have $70,000, right? So what percent return will you need to get back to 100K? It's not 30%. You're actually going to need a 43% return just to break back even. All right. Only breaking back even could take years for that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you with that last point here. We're going to open things up for Q&A. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to see if I can leave this up here. Feel free to reach out or reach me in my info here. I think I put my LinkedIn on before. Let me get back over here. Okie dokie. So I know we are going to jump into Q&A here time. If anybody has questions, leave Alan, you'll be interviewing me here.
No. Thank you for the presentation. I know the amount of time to cover all of these subjects of money and personal finances for this many folks, is in itself a challenge. But it was a great presentation. I think it's a nice primer, so we can have maybe different topics, on different nights, just to expand on some of these items. Because
100%.
if you look at the questions, there is questions about mortgage, interest rates, a lot of comments about the debts, information that you put out. And so I'm just gonna pick on a couple. So you'll see there'll be an emoji that looks like this. It says this. That's questions from the group. So you can always go back in there and just reply to that particular question too if we don't cover it. You'll see it in there. So I'm just gonna go all the way to the top, and I see Ralph had a question. Would you advise on a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage?
So when it comes down to that, of course, you're going to want to look on the interest rate, and you're going to want to see, okay, what makes the most sense for my buying ability, what makes the most sense for my budget. So really, that's going to depend on your personal situation, right? So you're going to want to see, okay, what makes the most sense with my budget? Can I afford, doing 15 year and getting it finished earlier? If you can get it earlier, then great. But one thing, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to cover it, but when you're talking about the interest rates, right? You're thinking, okay, should I put all my money into knocking out of debt a little bit faster than we anticipated? So you want to get it done in 15 years rather than 30 years. You have to think about, okay, well, if I'm paying 5% interest on this loan for the 15 year, for example, and there's an investment over here that I could put it into and have an 8 or 9% return, right? You have to think, okay, what's going to give me the most bang for my buck, right? If I have this 15-year mortgage and I'm putting more money towards that, or I get the 30-year mortgage, a little bit less money towards the mortgage, then have money growing in the investment, where let's say you do the 30-year mortgage, you have 5% interest, and you put the rest that maybe you would have put towards the 15-year mortgage towards the investment that's doing, let's say, 9%, on average. Then you're getting a little chunk more than what you would get if you were just putting it all more towards the mortgage, right? So you want to think, okay, what interest rate is going to be compounding for me the most, right? And that's why we talk about high interest debt, consumer debt, things like that. That's what you have to really be concerned about, because you're not going to be putting money into investment getting 20 year 20% return, like you have to pay 20% in a credit card or something like that. So that's hopefully that kind of answers your question a little bit there, Ralph.
I like the little bit the controversy, from your answer. So sounds, my perception is that it sounds a little bit that you're not all in into getting a mortgage. You're saying, check around, evaluate the options between getting into a mortgage or putting more money into investments. Did I hear that right?
It's not so much that it's against putting money into a mortgage, but it's more so that you don't want to put all your money towards the mortgage. You see, when you buy a house, unless you're buying real estate like a second home or real estate property or something like that that's separate from your primary residence. If you're buying your primary residence, that's not actually it's not actually an asset. It's not building you wealth per se, because you're not renting it out. You're probably not selling it until maybe you're much older or something like that. And ideally speaking, if you want to maintain your same lifestyle into retirement, you might want to keep your house for the long haul. So a lot of the times, you want to, put money towards your home and stuff. It's a good thing to have. It's not a bad thing with the equity and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily going to help you a ton when you retire. Right. So that's why I'm saying, you want to build assets outside of your home. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I
so
agree with that.
It's not against the mortgage, but it's for building assets outside of that, if that makes sense.
Yes, perfect. So there's a ton of questions now. Let's see. On a 401k pre-tax, are you taxed how much you're making when you're able to pull it out? For example, if I'm making 100k now, when I'm pulling out at 60 and making 50k, am I paying the tax on the $50,000 income? I mean, 401k pre-tax, that is a traditional 401k, right?
Let me.
So when you convert that at 60, you have to still convert at.
Can you tell me that?
That's Ralph too.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
So you're going to get taxed based on, so let's say you're making 70 grand and you're pulling out money out of your 401k, 10, 20 grand or something like that out of your 401k, and you're taking that, your take home would be, 90,000 then. So you're going to get taxed based on what bracket that puts you in.
At
Right.
that
So if
time.
let's say you're not working and you're pulling money out of your 401k, and you're just pulling out 20,000 per year, or something like that, or 30,000 per year, that's how you'll be taxed as income. So I hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Pre-tax on that one. And what is a good interest rate and an APR for a high yield savings account?
High yield savings account. So when you're talking about high yield account, you have to think about what's the goal for it, right? So if you get a high yield savings account, it's more of like a short to midterm type goal, type of account. So let's say you're saving to buy a home, you're saving for a down payment on a home, or you're saving up to buy a car, or you're saving up for maybe a large purchase that you're working towards, and you want to have your money somewhere where you're not going to lose it, but you're going to be able to get a little bit more bang for your buck. You're going to be able to get a little bit of interest in the meantime while you wait and while you save. That's what a high yield savings account can do for you. So it's not so much aiming to get like a super high return, but yeah, like his name just put in there 4.5, 4, 5, around that ballpark is not too shabby.
Let's see here. That was that. And what is your recommended beginner way to start building credit?
Which one is that?
That's Maria at 7:55.
So
you can talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So when it comes to building credit as a beginner, I would say, so if you're on your own, of course, and you're just building credit separate from like your parents or something like that. If maybe you're with your parents, you could be an authorized user. If you're not, I would say, especially if you don't have any score, you'll probably have to just get a secured card. So you get a secured card. Secured card is just a credit card that you basically, it's kind of like you put like a little down payment into it, and that's what backs the credit limit on that card. So you could put $500, and then you have a credit limit of $500 for a credit card that they give you. And then after a certain period, they say, hey, you can upgrade it to a unsecured card, which is just a regular credit card, and then you can kind of start working your way up from there and applying for different cards and growing that credit history and that credit limit so that you expand on that.
All right. And one more before we get the axe here. Do you need to have 3 years of pay stubs to buy a house if you have 20% of down payment?
So that's actually super interesting because I actually will be having a mortgage officer on one of my workshops coming up in the next couple months or so. And as I was talking with them, you can probably get a mortgage in almost any situation, income wise, as long as you have some income and you can show a certain amount of it, or I think even some extent they were telling me that you can do it without even showing some income. Depending on the type of loan, depending on who you're working with, what state you're in, and the type of mortgage product that they put together for you. So what I would do is, if you want to look into some of the details of that, feel free to reach out to me. I can put you in touch with one of the mortgage officers that I work with, and they can answer that, because you can pretty much get a mortgage no matter your situation, is what I've understood from a lot of them that I've talked with.
Sounds like 2006 all over again. All right.
Hopefully it won't be that bad.
Yeah. So there's way more questions in there, and we're coming up on time, but but please just go into the chat. You'll see the the emoji says this for their questions, and you can just reply to them whenever you have time. The rest of the people that are in the room, they're all millionaires, so that's why I didn't have any questions for you. But you can help them too.
That's awesome. Absolutely, absolutely. You have to put the millions somewhere, right?
They got all the money in the world, so that's cool.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, for doing this, Daniel. And again, same with Ralph. And we're happy to have you guys back, for in the future to do more of this. Really, really great
Absolutely.
information.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys were able to pick up a thing or two. Feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. Hopefully, I can just be a resource for you guys. If you guys need anything, let me know. Happy to help where I can. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Take care. Yes. And with that, grammars, we're gonna jump to the. Okay, so I'm gonna just type it here so that way I don't get lost. Jump to. Oh, never mind. You can't do it. Anyway, jump to the after party. I guess that's the room that we'll go. Unless somebody has something specific, then we'll see you all over there. And thank you for our speakers, and thank you all for attending tonight to this presentation. See you in a bit.
Everybody.
Well, hello there, ladies and germs. See here. Let me get my bearings here.
Are you bringing your dog, Devin? Is that why there's the duck sound?
It's more like a duck.
Yeah, no, but Devin has a dog, so I was like, is that his?
I'm still waiting for the rooster.
Is there a rooster?
He was gonna bring a rooster at some point. Devin.
Wait, does he live on a farm?
Oh my God, Devin! You still haven't fixed your microphone and your camera? Come on now. I'm gonna have to start. I have to go to your place. Help you out with these technical difficulties. There you are. See?
Is it working?
He has a face. He has a voice.
Kingsley passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh man.
He
What
was
happened?
old.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah, he was old.
Alan, the way you said that.
Alex, you're messed up. Things don't work in temp. Look at this guy.
Things don't work.
Hey, Marco, great seeing you. Thanks for being here. And yeah, keep plugging in. Hopefully, we'll see you soon too. Take it easy, buddy. Devin, welcome back. We'll see you in a minute. Marco's been great because Marco's been pushing